me see. Oh, somebody came in, so that was good. Just give me a sec, folks. I'm still trying to figure all this stuff out with the Facebook side of it. Let's see. Okay. Oh, there we go. Alrighty then. So, that looks like I've at least. Anything else we can. We've already. So. Anyways, okay. So it looks like we got everything there then. Alright, so I think. Hey, Action. Sorry about that. I was still trying to figure some of this stuff out with the simulcasting on Facebook. So tap 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 tap. Shh. Action going deep. Tap 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 tap. Hey, Action. Hey, ATC. Glad you're here. We're just gonna, of course, we're just waiting a few minutes to give people a chance to get in here a bit. If you have, well, pretty sure you already have, but if you haven't, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more people in here, that'd be appreciated. Yeah. So, anyways, hopefully everybody's doing well. We have 3 people now viewing, so that's good to see. All right, so I guess then I can start talking about what's on tap for tonight. We got at least 3 people in here now. So we got your nightly dose of niche news. We got 3 comic stories, 4 anime stories, and a wrestling story. The first 2 comic stories are coming from Bounding Into Comics, and then the other, and then like the other comic story and the 4 anime stories are coming in from and we lost a person, are coming in from CBR. So let's see. I've already kind of started here, but I guess we'll let's see. So what we have for tonight, among other things, is got some news from some news from Marvel, some news from DC. Vault Comics is coming out with something, and then on the anime side of it, we're gonna look at some isekai anime. You know what you might like to watch if you don't care for Sword Art Online. There's an article on what the problem with Yuri anime is, and there's also a couple other Fruits Basket celebrating their new movie with some artwork. And then there was one more anime story as well. And then the one wrestling news story, we're going to talk slightly about a little bit about Drake Maverick. So some news in regards to him and the WWE. So all that being said, and we couldn't keep the third person around long enough. So, Toys, I hope you had a good day today. Hope you're doing well. Um, we'll probably get started. Less again, we get some more people coming in. We'll probably start 10 minute mark usually, as we know. Laugh out loud. Yeah. So, hey, is Lazarus doing any better, Toys? Is he getting much of? Is he getting more of his mobility back after all this time? I was asking if Lazarus was doing well. I remember he had got a got a bit of a leg injury a while back, so I just was asking how he was doing. Oh, there we go. Let's see what just sat there. I'm stuck at 350 subs and can't seem to break that threshold. And kind of down on that. Well, yeah, I know. I can feel you a bit because sometimes even my sub count like kind of grinds to a halt at times. Like right now, I've been like hovering right around 140. I'll be up to 142, but then down low, back down to 139 at times. I'm right now at 140, so I get what you're saying there with that. But as people have always encouraged me, it just takes time. Yeah, he's up and walking now. Young people bounce back. Yeah, young people are pretty resilient. That's for sure. I remember an old story that Mick Foley often talked about how, as a kid, he tried to emulate Superfly Jimmy Snuka, taking a. I guess there's a video out there that he did back in early '80s, early to mid '80s, where he quite literally jumped off his roof doing the Superfly splash. So, ah. Which was prior to him getting into the wrestling business, of course. And when he did get in the wrestling business early on, he was trained by Dominic DeNucci, and then went over to Japan, became a hardcore legend. Well, actually, even before, he was still wrestling as Cactus Jack. Well, let's see. When he first came up, he was like enhancement talent for WWF at the time as Jack Foley, and then he went on. Then he became Cactus Jack on the independent scenes, where he's a bit of a heel and a very reckless heel, and then went over to Japan, became a hardcore. Became a bit of a hardcore icon over there, and then of course spent some time in ECW before going to the WWF and becoming Mankind. So that's the extent of that. We have a third person in here. We're up to 10 minutes now, so it might be a good time to go ahead and get going here. And if you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be appreciated. With that, of course, why don't we go ahead? I wish I was able to bounce back that fast. I broke in anything becomes a year. I broke in anything becomes a year-long healing journey. Yeah, that's what happens when you get older, Toys. I'm sure we all feel that in some respects. But anyways, so now we're past 10 minute mark and we got three people in here. So why don't we go ahead and get into the articles here? Get as soon as I can find my cursor there. Alrighty then. So here we go. Let's get into these stories here. All right. So the first story we're going to look at here. First story we're going to look at here. All right, it's this one right here. So, Marvel teams with George R.R. Martin for Wild Cards comic book adaptation. Article by Spencer McCooley, published earlier today. In a team up of Titans whose goodwill with their respective fan bases is all but completely exhausted, a comic book adaptation of A Song of Ice and Fire and Elden Ring author George R.R. Martin's superhuman anthology series Wildcards will soon be hit shelves courtesy of Marvel Comics. This is Wildcards right here. Wildcards Volume 1, Number 2, Diamonds in the Rough. Yeah, no kidding. Set to be helmed by writer Paul Cornell, Doctor Who 2005 series, Dark X-Men, and artist Mike Hawthorne, Daredevil Volume 6. The Drawing of Cards Limited series will introduce readers to the world of Wild Cards, which takes place in quote, an alternate history where Earth is home to superpowered individuals. How original. Isn't that what a lot of comic book universes are? You know, like, isn't that what DC and Marvel were for a long time? They were basically their own Earths with superpowered individuals. Nice original description there. Uh, quote, when a human is infected with the alien wildcard virus, in smaller quotes, the odds are they will be killed, which is referred to as, quote, drawing the Black Queen, unquote, explains Marvel. Quote, of those that survive, the bulk of them become jokers, quote unquote, left with some strange mutated form. Hence the artwork up top there. A lucky few are called, quote unquote, aces, those gifted with superpowers they can put to use towards heroic goals, or villainous ones, unquote. Mm-hmm. All Cards, Drawing of Cards, Volume 1, 2022, Marvel Comics. Cover art by Steve Morris. Born in the 1980s from an extensive campaign of the tabletop RPG Superworld, in which Martin took part, Wild Cards was initially conceived as a collaborative superhero universe crafted by the author and a number of his sci-fi and fantasy writing peers, including longtime X-Men scribe Chris Claremont, Dread Empire's Fall author Walter John Williams, and Slow Fall to Dawn writer Stephen Lee. Quote, we had a love of comic books and superheroes that we grew up on, unquote. Martin explained to Hollywood Reporter in 2011, in light of news that the series had been optioned by Universal um, for a since shelved film adaptation. Quote, but we approached the material differently. We wanted to do it in a grittier, more adult manner than what we were seeing in the 80s. It's something that many other people have been doing in the decades ever since. Unquote. Wild Cards number one, Wild Cards Volume One, Number 3. Welcome to the club. 1990 Marvel cover art by oops, little typo there by Jackson Gulch, Geese, and Alfred Ramirez. See if there's anything new I should be made aware of. Oh, there's only back down only two of us now, I guess. But I did get some more likes, so that's cool. Uh, anyways. All right, getting back to the article here. Of the upcoming series, Cornell told Marvel, quote, Wild Cards is still a unique take on superheroes, a creation story that's influenced everything since, but still maintains its power, unquote. Quote, it's an honor and a privilege to bring all these wonderful stories um, to their natural home at Marvel. And I hope to give George, Melinda, and the rest of the Wild Cards Collective the credit they deserve for making the superhero myth new again, unquote. He added, plus, just look at that art, unquote. Sounds interesting enough. Sounds interesting enough. Martin also expressed his excitement at the series' upcoming production, exclaiming to the publisher, as my fans may already know, the Wild Cards world holds a special place in my heart. So to have the privilege uh, um, to have the privilege of announcing that an industry titan like Marvel is going to produce the narrative from the beginning as the comic book brings me no end of joy, unquote. Excuse me a moment, guys. I gotta step away from the computer for a moment to take care of something real quick. Hey, Lorenzo. How you doing, man? Thanks for dropping in. If you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, that would be some help. And the next time you say something, there will be a little surprise for you. Anyways, I'll be right back, guys. I got to step away from the computer for just a quick moment. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to take care of something real quick. Anyways, let's get back to the story here. Interestingly, Cornell and Hawthorne's series will not be the first time Wild Cards has been adapted as a comic book, nor the first time by Marvel. In 1990, the Jim Shooter led Marvel Comics imprint Epic Comics produced a 4-issue original anthology series, initially conceived as an adaptation of the second Wild Cards novel, Aces High, based on the expansive superhuman universe. That's a very interesting lady here, Lisa. Wild Cards Volume 1, Number 3, Welcome to the Club. Uh, Cover art by Jackson Geese and Alfred Ramirez. Are you excited about the new comic book adaptation of Wild Cards? Let us know your thoughts on social media or in the comments down below. Oh, there we go with that one. You guys have any comments on that particular article before we move on to the next one here? Just wanting to see if you guys have anything you want to add to the conversation here before I move on to the next article. And Toys, of course, saying hi to Lorenzo. We got 4 people now. No comments, Mike. Okay. And I guess I'll continue on with the articles then. All right, so here we go. New Jurassic League limited series from DC depicts the Justice League as dinosaurs. Imagine Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman as a dinosaur. Article by J.B. Augustine, published earlier today. Justice League is going Jurassic in a new miniseries that presents a new league, quote, as you've never seen them, unquote, or carbon dated them, unquote, as dinosaurs, unquote. There they are right there. There's a super dino right there. Wonder Woman dino. Maybe a bat dino right there. Jurassic League, these comics. It's the Jurassic League, defenders of truth, justice, and the prehistoric way. Batman, the Allosaurus, Wonder Woman, the Triceratops, and Superman, the Brachiosaurus. Assembling for a 6-issue adventure from DC. Saying, quote, you know the story, unquote, in their preview. DC invites readers to, quote, join us and bear witness to a brand new yet older than time adventure, unquote, wherein, quote, this heroic trinity, alongside a league of other superpowered dinosaurs, join forces to save a prehistoric Earth from a sinister machinations of Darkseid. This must have been fun for Darkseid. This must have been fun for Darkseid to have battled a dino version of Superman. Jurassic League, open variant cover, DC Comics. It sounds silly, a la 90s cartoons like Cadillacs and Dinosaurs or Extreme Dinosaurs, but Jurassic League is right up the alley of its artist, Juan Gedison. Quote, Jurassic League is all I want to draw. Dinos and epic fights, unquote, he said. Continuing, Gideon called the project, quote, my own version of a 90s cartoon or video game, except a story about survival, unity, and hope, where the um, strong protect the weak in a world where danger lurks in every corner. Jurassic League right there. Gideon illustrates this danger on the page, but Jurassic League is written by Daniel Warren Johnson, known for Wonder Woman Dead Earth, who is also providing the cover art for every issue. It's been an absolute pleasure joining Juan Gideon in creating a new world for DC, complete with dinos, cavemen, and extinction level events, unquote, said Johnson while teasing as well a bit of the cartoon action. Quote, Batsaur, see, suplexes a Joker phosphorus. You're welcome, unquote. Um, the first issue of Jurassic League hit shelves and digital retailers in May. And hard copies will come with a 1/25th megalustre megaluster dino skin, quote unquote. Um, Variant cover by Walt Simonson. Um, the the second variant by Gideon will also be available. DC senior editor Katie Kubert is very excited about the series. Quote, words cannot express how excited I am for this book, she said, unquote. Quote, as a lifelong dinosaur lover and a dinosaur tour guide and fossil preparer for two of the most prestigious natural history museums, this book speaks to my heart and science soul, unquote. Kubert said. I wonder if Katie Kubert is the daughter of Joe Kubert. Hmm. I'm shoving out. I'm shoving out a link with hashtags. Thanks for the wrench. No problem. Hey, you gave me one on your channel, so it's only fair, right? It's only fair. I give you one on mine. You gave me one on yours. So, laugh out loud. Now get to work, newbie. Laugh out loud. Action. Sits back in his chair with a cigar and a glass of scotch. Stretches and puts his feet on one of the many attendants. Laugh out loud. You're funny there, toys. When Juan came to me with the idea and Daniel Warren Johnson doubled down on it, I knew we had something truly special, and I can't wait for fans to fall in Mesozoic love, she added. Jurassic League drops on May 10th. So, yeah, that sounds somewhat interesting as well. Let's see. Then we got one more comic story, and then we'll get into some anime stories. Yeah. Yeah. Sounds better than and making the characters woke. Yeah, that's true. Excuse me one more guys, I'll be right back again. Sorry about that. Gotta step away for just one more moment. Sorry about that, guys. Something stuck in my teeth, distracting me. So, True Dino toys were popular when I was a kid. Yep. I know. All right. So, anyways, sorry about that. Hopefully, now I'm back for good. Got whatever was distracting me in my mouth here out of the way. So, let's go ahead and get to this next article then. Barbaric is back with bloody new Vault series and one shot exclusive. Exclusive. Vault Comics Barbaric returns with an oversized one shot and a new ongoing series, all kicking off in May. Article by John Arvidin, published 12 hours ago. Harvest Blade. Barbaric returns to Vault Comics with two new titles. The return begins in May with an oversized one shot titled Bar- um, Barbaric Harvest Blades, written by Michael Morecci, illustrated by Richard Pace, colored by Addison Duke, and um, lettered by Jim Campbell. That's followed. That's followed in July by the new ongoing series Barbaric Axe to Grind, written by Morecci, illustrated by Nathan Gooden, colored by Duke, lettered by Campbell. Quote, I feel like Harvest Blades is a big step forward, a big, bold, barbaric future, Morecci said. Um, quote, with the success of our first volume under our belt, um, we now have the flexibility and confidence to grow this story in all kinds of ways. And this is the start of that growth. Um, we're going to keep doing what we do. Barbaric is nothing if it's not big, bloody, and loaded with humor. But now we are going to take it to the next level, and I couldn't be more excited, unquote. Quote, I am very excited to announce the continuation of the rule breaking series, Barbaric, unquote. Goodens added. Quote, the second adventure is bigger, badder, longer, and has a one-shot lead in for fans that can't get enough. We dive deeper into Owen's mysterious past, um, while introducing some new badass characters like Mike Morecci and I love. We've got even more unique magic and powers, as well as some gags from the first book that really pay off. The the first book introduced the world. This only truly expands it, and makes it rich. With this comes the exciting one shot drawn by the incredibly talented Richard Pace. Um, who fans know did variant covers for the first run. His style really helps um, really helps tell the gritty tale of the Harvest Blades. I'm a big fan of his work. I was so excited when he agreed to join the Barbaric team and help us build gear up for more blood drinking fun with Ace or with Axe. Sword and sorcery will never be the same. Unquote. Ace explained, um, quote, when I was a kid and fell into reading the original Conan stories by Robert E. Howard, under those incredible Frazetta covers, I was blown away by the fusion of those two creators on that character. Over 30 years later, I was similarly blown away reading what Michael and Nathan did with Owen. Um, there had been a tired sameness um, to the sword and sorcery genre in comics in for some time, as it lagged behind the energy um, brought to the table in prose by the likes of Abercrombie, Eames, and Morgan. But Moretti and Gooden stepped up. First chance I got, I volunteered myself to draw anything with Owen and their involvement. There are their names there as well. Barbaric Harvest Blood one shot. Writer Michael Moretti, artist Richard Pace. Addison Duke did the coloring, the lettering done by Jim Cavill, cover A by Richard Pace, cover B by Nathan Gooden, designer Tim Daniel, and stores May 25th, 2022. Synopsis: like a punch in the privates, Barbaric is back, bloodier and more irreverent than ever. Um, let's see. In this one shot, Owen the Barbarian, cursed to do good, is forced out of hiding and back to his old BS. A whole bunch of violence, ethically approved, of course, by his moral compass, by talking at, um, by his moral compass, the talking axe. Find out for yourselves why Entertainment Weekly, Thrillist, Screen Rant, and a whole bunch of other he'll call Barbaric one of the best comics of 2021. The first of many one-shots that further explore the world of Barbaric, whose second arc, Axe to Grind, arrives in July. Here's some more of the from Bolt comic. Let's see. Anyways. All right. So, anyways, Barbaric Axe to Grind, number one. Michael Moretti is the writer, artist Nathan Gooden, colorist Addison Duke, letterer Jim Campbell, cover A Richard Pace, designer Tim Daniel, in stores July 27, 2022. Barbaric Harvest Blade, written by Michael Moretti, illustrated by Richard Pace, colored by Addison Duke, lettered by um, Jim Campbell. Um, goes on sale May 25th from Vault Comic. Barbaric Axe Grind #1, written by Moretti, illustrated by Nathan Gooden, colored by Duke, and lettered by Campbell. Arrives June 27th. So there we go with that one. Let's see. So let's see now. So let's see. Now it's time. Um, all right. So we'll get into the anime portion of the stories now. About 4 anime stories here to go through. This will be the first one. Before we get to that, though, I gotta step off. I gotta go off camera here for a moment. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Let's see. I'm not sure which dinosaurs or toys the neighbor kid had. Mike AFK. Um, no, no, it's not that I'm AFK. I don't even know what AFK means. It's just that it was something stuck in my tooth, Lorenzo, and I was trying to get it out. It was kind of distracting. So, anyways, let's see. Sure, neighbor kid had. I didn't own any of my own. I had GoBots and Mass Toys. Yeah. The GoBots, the GoBots. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. The GoBots. Away from keyboard. Oh, well, I was a little while ago, Lorenzo. Just trying to get whatever the little distraction was out of my teeth there. Holy, now it's gone. But anyways, um, now getting back to the articles here, and we're in the anime portion of our show now. So, anyways, the best isekai anime for people who don't like Sword Art Online. Isekai genre has attracted plenty of anime fans, but not all of them like the extremely popular Sword Art Online. Here are some good alternatives. Um, Article by Christy Gibbs, um, published 13 hours ago. While Sword Art Online certainly did not invent the isekai genre, stories that involve people being transported into other worlds, frequently fantasy based, it undoubtedly served to popularize it. Well, there were a few because Sword Art Online is an isekai. It's kind of like what they call a multimedia online role playing game, an MMORPG. And there were plenty of those even before Sword Art Online. There was back of course in the early 2000s, there was the Dot Hack series. You've had Chaos Head as well. There have been a number of them like that though. Log Horizon's another anime like that. So, but let's see what more. Um, Moreover, although the SAO anime premiered in 2012, it continues to be incredibly popular to this day, having received several televised seasons and spin off shows, while the original light novel series remains ongoing. That said, for all its popularity, Sword Art Online has a fair amount of detractors as well, with certain elements of the series rubbing plenty of viewers the wrong way. For example, many anime fans point to SAO being a self-serious male power fantasy with a generic yet somehow also godlike protagonist, one who does nothing to their earn either his skills or his harem of female admirers, from the equally perfect Asuna to his cousin Sugaha. Happily for isekai fans who don't like Sword Art Online, a number of anime titles steer clear of these issues while putting their unique spin on the genre. Now and then, here and there, depicts the real cost of war. Yes, I've seen this one. This one's kind of an older one. This one's like back in the 90s. Um, Here and there. Oh, what are you saying here? If they had mounted weapons, those would be Dino Riders, probably one of the most popular lines dinos at the time. Yeah. Let's see. So here's Now and Then, Here and There. This one's like from back in the 90s, and I've seen it on a few occasions. While walking home from school one day, the kendo loving Matsutani Shuzo happens upon a girl being attacked by people who pilot dragon like mechas. When he intervenes to protect her, he is accidentally transported to their world, a post apocalyptic wasteland with a dire lack of water, which only the girl, Lala Rue, has the ability to control using her magical pendant. Trapped in this horrific universe, Shu is faced with the stark realities of a would-be future Earth where famine, slavery, torture, and child exploitation are commonplace. And they're worried about some of the stuff that Sword Art Online is doing. Oh boy. Now and then, here and there, Imasoko ni Iru Boku is a 13 episode anime original series. Um, Far from depicting a fun or exciting fantasy world filled with magical beings or superpowers, it deals with numerous heavy themes and doesn't shy away from showcasing some of the worst that humanity has to offer, from rape to conscripting child soldiers. As much a dystopian tragedy as it is a science fantasy, the adventure aspects of Now and Then Here and There are very much tempted by its human drama, which isn't for the faint of heart. The 12 Kingdoms is a classic epic fantasy at its finest. Another one that's kind of like late 90s, early 2000s, I believe. This one I think came out in 97 or 98, I believe. Now and Then Here and There, I think came out more like in the mid 90s, like 95, 96, around there. Nakajima Yoko is a lonely high school student who has never managed to fit in because of her bright red hair. One day, she is suddenly waylaid by a man named Keiki, who bows and swears fealty to her before the school is attacked by a giant bird. Imagine the eggs coming out of that bird on the school, right? Having no option but to accept his protection, Yoko is handed a sword transported to the 12 Kingdoms alongside two of her classmates who are caught up in the chaos. Accidentally separated from Keiki, they must learn to survive as fugitives in a magical land resembling classical China. Based on a Japanese novel series, The 12 Kingdoms, Juni Kokuki, um, anime is comprised of a single 45 episode season that takes a deep dive into the complex lore and politics of its setting. While many isekai shows revolve around seemingly all powerful protagonists, those of 12 Kingdoms, particularly Yoko, undergo major character growth and development, which is true. That's probably one of the more interesting things about 12 Kingdoms is that that's exactly what it did. It kind of you did get to see the characters grow more there than you would a lot of other series to eventually arrive at a different place from where they began. In addition, um, Yoko's journey is one of a deeply personal nature. So the story is not reliant on any form of romance to sell itself to the audience. Yeah, 12 Kings doesn't have romantic elements in it, so it's a pretty good series. If you guys haven't checked it out before, you should probably go ahead and try to check that out. So what's this Warner drops Fantastic Beast stuff I'm hearing? I actually haven't been following that. Um, Not exactly something I really care for, anyways. You know, I don't really follow a lot of the mainstream stuff as much. All right, so continuing on with the article. Oh, now we got 4 people watching. Yay, 4 people. Okay, so let's continue on with the article here. Let's see. All right, the devil is a part timer and fuses isekai with real world social satire. Demon Lord Satan is at the height of his power and on the verge of conquering the world of Ente Isla. However, when his plans are foiled by the hero Emilia, he has no choice but to escape through a magical portal which transports him to current day Japan. Lost in Tokyo alongside his trusted general Alciel, the pair must survive by any means necessary, including gaining accommodation and paying the bills until they can find their way back home. In order to do so, Satan takes the name Sadao Mao and begins working part time at McDonald's. Okay, McDonald's. I guess that was their version of McDonald's. McDonald's. Okay. Maybe that's the devil is a part timer's version of McDonald's. Um, while the majority of the isekai shows are about humans being abruptly transported from the real world to a fantasy one, the devil is a part timer, Hadaraku Mao Sama, takes the opposite approach, forcing a demon from a parallel universe to make a life for himself on Earth. When it was released, this fish out of water story became immediately popular for its comedic chops, and it weaves social satire into a tale that subverts plenty of other common anime tropes um, along the way. Fans of the first season are greatly looking forward to season 2, which is scheduled for a July 2022 release. Kamigami no Asobi is the ultimate shoujo parody isekai. Try saying that one 3 times fast, folks. And if you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, that would be real. That would be a real help. See if we can get some more friendly people in here. Kamigami no Asobi is the ultimate shoujo parody anime. So let's get a look at this now. Kusanagi Yui is a third-year high school student who discovers a mysterious glowing sword in her home storehouse. Upon touching it, she is transported to a world created by Zeus, king of the gods, king of the Greek gods, of course. Mount Olympus. Zeus tells her that the gradually weakening bond between gods and humans will bring about a terrible future. To prevent this, Yui is tasked with instructing the other gods, Apollon, Hades, Tsukito, Takaru, Balder, Loki, Anubis, and Thoth in matters of the human heart. Luckily for her, these gods are all have the appearance of of extremely attractive young men. A rather underrated Kamigami no Asobi, literally play of gods, is a lighthearted romance reverse harem series based on an otome game or female target dating sim. Although billed primarily as a fantasy show, the intentionally over the top delivery of much of the story and its characters gives it a comedic feel that frequently borders on parody, especially given all the self aware button popping, shirt ripping, transformation sequences, um, and purposefully exaggerated romantic tropes like Thoth's apparent obsession with Cabedon. Devil is a Part Timer is an awesome anime where the demon lord is more than happy to live a mundane, normal life. Yeah, you're really into those type of shows, aren't you? Devil is a Part Timer, um, The Way of the House Husband. Um, those seem to be your type of shows, my friend. Anyways, as we move on to the next part of the article here, Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash showcases Isekai minus the power fantasy. A ragtag group of teenagers has been fighting for survival in a world where people must form parties to battle monsters such as goblins, join class guilds, and generally do whatever they must to earn enough money to eat with a roof over their heads. They have no clear memories of their previous lives, but although these young men and women are all likely from Earth, the world of Grimgar is clearly no game, and the specter of death lurks around every corner. Sounds similar to another series I know of. I'm trying to think here. What was it? Oh, Batum. Sounds a little bit like Batum in terms of plot. In many respects, Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash, Hai to Genso no Grimgar, could be said to be the darker and more emotionally meaningful cousin to Sword Art Online. Broadly speaking, it has a relatively classic feel in terms of take on isekai, with its setting and character roles. But it explores the idea of death and grief far more deeply, and its occasional romantic elements take a back seat to its drama. While not entirely free of unnecessary fan service, this is one light novel based series that ends up being far more than the sum of its parts, leaving plenty of viewers desperately hoping for a second season. All right, so there we go. So there we go with that one. Let's see, where are we at now on, let's see. Oh, wow, we're at an hour 14, so I'd better start hurrying up a little bit here. Ah, all right, here's the next one we'll look at. It's time to talk about the biggest problems with Yuri anime. While Yuri anime has made strides forward in the past few years, a few poisonous subgenres and the issue of Yuri baiting plague the industry. Article by Lara Adams, published 11 hours ago. Okay, let's see what Miss Adams has to say here. Um, the one in the middle there is, of course, from Revolutionary Girl Utena. I think the one on the left there is from Puella Madoka Magica, and I can't see enough of the one on the right there to figure out what that one is. It's not an uncommon story. Girlfriends who hug or kiss with an abandon that boys would never take for granted, because when girls are affectionate with each other, it simply means less. Female friendships are allowed to be more physically and emotionally intimate without accusations of homosexuality. This may offer some a degree of safety, but for others, the casual dismissal of romantic female relationships can also be a dismissal of a hard accepted identity. Oh boy. Oh boy. I can see where this lady's going with this. This I have a feeling Miss Adams here is a very hardcore pro LGBTQ individual, it would seem. As media plays such a large role in influencing lives, sometimes even introducing people to the concept of LGBTQ plus and the other identities, it is now more important than ever for media such as anime to portray those stories um, with care. Now, just a reminder what Yuri is. Well, I think they may actually talk about down here. As anime continues to handle the topic of women being in romantic relationships, it is a responsibility to be sure that these stories, also known as Yuri, are nuanced and varied, and avoid the pitfalls that have emerged in the genre over the decades. Now, Yuri, to remind everybody what Yuri is girls' love, basically, whereas yaoi is boys' love. Okay, we've talked about that, um, oh, before. So, I think it's because I identify with being on a certain path and drastically changing lanes and going in a completely different direction. I guess you mean how you identify with ones like the devil is a part timer and way of the house husband. uh, all right, then. So here, let's see. Let's get back to this. The history and meaning of Yuri. Oh, this is a real old one. This one looks like it's back from back in the 80s. This one looks like it's like 35, 40 years old here. Yuri anime and manga is content that includes or focuses on romantic relationships between girls and women, with the literal translation being Lily. Yuri content has fluctuated in and out of popularity since all female boarding schools became common around the turn of the 20th century, and it began to appear as a subject in widespread books as anime and manga such as The Rose of Versailles became popular in the women's movement of the 1970s. Characters such as Lady Oscar inspired a whole new wave of interest in Yuri content, with more and more fictional women gradually appearing in stories focusing on female relationships. As with all genres, Yuri has its subgenres, one of which ended up becoming the root of many of the problems with Yuri today: Shoujo Ai. Shoujo Ai originally was used to differentiate works that didn't contain sex, but the term has taken on a new meaning as a subgenre of Yuri that doesn't contain an explicit confirmation of the relationship. It may capture the emotion, but it does nothing to actually prove beyond doubt that this is anything beyond girls being friends. And here is where the issue of, in smaller quote, Yuri baiting occurs. The problem with Yuri baiting, again, now this picture right here is from Madoka Magica. The largest problem with Yuri, as it stands now, is that most Yuri is simply not Yuri. Many favorite relationships are not real and will never become so. However, shows love to take female characters and make it seem like they have romantic feelings for each other without ever actually pulling through, baiting fans with Yuri potential, and then dropping the ball. Um, Basically, what it sounds like she's saying here is that it's almost like they're trying to use Yuri fan service to get somebody to watch an anime that isn't actually Yuri. That's what it basically sounds like she's saying there. She's basically saying that people are that whoever these people are who make these series are using Yuri fan service to bait people into watching an anime that isn't Yuri. That's kind of an interesting thought process there. Anyways, anime such as Magic Madoka Magica, which where that picture we just saw was from, and Sound Euphonium, both make it seem like a particular Yuri pairing has the potential to be real LGBTQ plus representation and will draw official art, sell figures, or simply write the show in a way that makes girls seem like a couple. The profits, this profits off people who are desperate for representation while not planning on ever delivering. For example, many, if not most, Madoka Magica fans can agree that Akemi Homura's feelings for Kanami Madoka go beyond platonic. Scale figures of Miki Sayaka and Sakura Kyoko um, will even be sold separately, but with interchangeable arm parts to allow them to be joined together. Um, and only with each other, yet without an official declaration of romance. This can be brushed aside as girls being maturely more affectionate. Even an official declaration of feelings sometimes isn't enough. In Sound Euphonium, the main character offered up a quote unquote confession of love only for them to focus on the other's unrequited crush on a male teacher and end the show as platonic friends. It's an interesting site right there. That's from Sound Euphonium on that. This can be further seen in the official artwork for shows such as Princess Principal, which once again does not actually have two women in a relationship, but feels free to capitalize on how the concept of Yuri will sell the show. The artwork of the characters, Angela Kerr and Princess Charlotte, is full of romantic and even sexual undertones. And the show contains romantic tension, but without a kiss or romantic acknowledgement. The relationship will never be considered true Yuri. This allows the show to maintain the audience who would frown upon LGBTQ plus representation while still baiting an audience who are willing to accept a relationship that won't ever be real. How do you guys feel about that, though? Do you feel that the I don't know if any of you have I don't know if you guys have ever watched Yuri or not, but You feel that there is some kind of Yuri bit, like they're using Yuri fan service to kind of bait people into watching Yuri series, Yuri anime. Um, feel free to comment on that. Give some thought to that question and answer, please, if you can. Anyways, going back to the article here. Other strong offenders of Yuri baiting include Izeda, the Last Witch, Higurashi When They Cry, and many idol shows that have all the hallmarks of being shoujo ai without the actual girl's love. Um, though many of these shows are still completely enjoyable, the fact that they depict what seem to be romantic relationships between girls and women, use that to sell merchandise and attract viewers, but then never actually have that relationship come to fruition is cruel towards LGBTQ plus. Yeah, let's be as I thought, who are searching for stories to connect with. True Yuri representation. Yeah, basically, I think what she's talking about here is they're using Yuri fan service to bait people into watching something that's not Yuri. That's what it boils down to. Unfortunately, many shows that are official, in smaller quotes, Yuri, do not stand up to scrutinization either. Yuru Yuri features very young girls, where any sexualization comes off as inherently wrong, and the show helps this along by making much of the sexualization further taboo by making it incestuous or simply lecherous. Okay, any feelings these girls have towards each other are, at the end of the day, meant to be lighthearted and not taken seriously as LGBTQ plus representation. Other shows with explicit sexual actions between women might technically be representation, but are clearly meant for the male gaze or are extremely predatory in a way that make them an ill fit for representation such as citrus. Mm. Ah. The subgenre of Class S occasionally produces a Yuri pairing that seems to cement itself as real. But Class S has many of its own issues. Class S shows take place at those all female boarding schools that begin to inspire Yuri works that began to inspire Yuri works in the early 1990s or 1900s. And the all female cast lend themselves easily to Yuri. Yeah, I think I know what they're talking about. Stuff like Best Student Council for one. That one comes to mind off the top of my head. What's some other Azumanga Dio is another one that kind of comes to mind on that. Um, Even Negima can fall into that, even though you do have some. You have male teachers, obviously, but yeah. So those are some that I think of off the top of my head. Um, with that. So, however, even in shows such as Strawberry Panic, I think I did see that, where the characters kiss and seem to make themselves a real pairing. The oh wait, no, I don't know what Strawberry Panic. It's another one called Strawberry, but probably you've seen. The idea that they will leave the school and thus quote in small quote graduate from their desires towards other women is threaded into the narrative much in the same way that girls might be expected to quote unquote experiment with their sexuality in college but ultimately settle down with a man. Yeah, that's a common thing they talk about too. The idea of experimenting like that. But Yuri moving forward. Lorenzo, let's see what. When they cried, I personally enjoy the nail pulling. Yeah, Higurashi. See, and then Lorenzo, what are you saying here? Let's see. I watch a lot more VTubers, yeah, I know what a VTuber is. Then I watch anime, mainly the Hololive company. Sometimes fans will ship two VTubers, regardless of if both are attracted to each other. Yeah, well, that's that. The whole idea of shipping, Lorenzo, that's something that is actually very not just with VTubers. It's done in anime too. I know Hiro Hey, who's another YouTuber, has talked about it before, particularly with shows like My Hero Academia, where people will sit there and try to ship the characters together like that. That is kind of a common practice. But yeah. So, anyways, um, Yuri moving forward. Actually, let me check the time here. Hour 30. So we're past the hour and a half mark at least. That's Yuri moving forward. Fortunately for all the negative content out there with Yuri representation, there have been strides forward, as well as anime from decades past that continue to set an example. While Revolutionary Girl Utena is set in a Class S scenario, the plot required the heroines to break out of the quote unquote the smaller quotes egg they have been trapped inside in order to find each other and live happily. And they share a passionate kiss in the movie to solidify their romantic attraction. Shows such as Whispered Words explore girls who are learning about their sexualities as they go and offer true shoujo while still being Yuri with characters who identify as being attracted to girls, not including explicit sexual content. More recent works such as Bloom Into You, Ase-san, Ase-san in the Morning Glories, and Adachi and Shimamura are Yuri anime where the characters are unmistakably queer, and even more importantly, taking that attraction beyond schoolgirl setting to show that their attraction is valid far past the stage they should have, quote in smaller quotes, grown out of it. Like any media representing an oft oppressed community, Yuri has a tumultuous history and is far from perfect today. Subgenres such as Shoujo I and Class S have allowed Yuri to become bait for people searching for representation. When the two girls or women are truly in a relationship, it is either often littered with abusive elements, created for the male gaze, or destined to be over when the couple leaves the environment of an all girls school. Yuri baiting in shows such as Madoka Magica has drawn a large audience, however, there are shows with true Yuri couples with promising futures, and as societal acceptance of the LGBTQ plus community increases, the ability to create shows with representation also grows. Yuri is moving in the right direction and will continue to do so as audiences demand fair representation, as society evolves to be more accepting of Yuri and queer women in real life who want to exist beyond the scope of fiction. Oh, there we go with that one. So yeah, so that was a pretty heady topic there. Anyways, if you haven't already, guys, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here, it would be appreciated. And see, we have 4 people watching, so that's good. Hope everybody's enjoying the content thus far. And I think we have maybe a couple more. We got, I think, like maybe 3 more stories here. Let me see. The second one that, yeah, that was so. We have like I think 2 more here. That say 1, 2, yeah, those 2, and then I'll talk a little bit about some wrestling news. So where are we at on time now? Hour 37. So we'll probably be getting right up to the. Oh, sorry, I didn't even realize this was a newer. There's one VTuber I know who loves another VTuber romantically, but the other VTuber considers her as a close friend, but isn't attracted to her. Interesting. Do you know that? Let me ask you this, Lorenzo, just out of curiosity. The one who's not attracted to her, is she not attracted to her because she's just not attracted to her, or is she just not attracted to she like straight? That's what I'm asking. Obviously, that doesn't stop some fans from paying the two or portraying the two as an act. Yeah, I mean, go look at some of Hero Hayes' videos. He's talked about that before. You know, it's one of those things that does. I mean, they do it. I guess they're doing it with VTubers. They do it in anime too, where they ship couples like that. Um, so, anyways, let's move on to the. Oh wait, actually, I wanted to go back to something there. Wanted to check something real quick. Just check the bio of Lara here. Okay. Her, I guess she's published 103 articles according to this. There is a writer for CBR. She received a Bachelor of Arts in English from Millersville University in 2015. Her rabbits like to help her write um, by sitting on her keyboard. Okay. That's kind of interesting. Anyways, getting back to the. I'm not sure. The one might be might one might be straight. Yeah, one straight. Yeah, I mean, it could. Yeah, I mean, because it could be maybe she just. I mean, if she is attracted to girls, maybe she's not attracted to her, and then. But then again, it could just be that maybe she just not attracted to girls at all. So, anyways, moving on to the next article here. Um, Fruits Basket unveils new Yuki and Kyo art to celebrate movie success. Fruits Basket Prelude showcases new art of Yuki and Kiyosoma to celebrate the compilation of the movie's successful premiere in Japan. Article by Michael Ocerna, published 11 hours ago. So yeah, Yuki. See, I think Kyo's the one on the right. Yuki's the one on the left. There. Yeah, Kyo's the one who's got the orange hair. Yuki's the one with the darker hair, or in this case, the grayish purple hair. Kyo and Yuki return in a new set of illustrations from Fruits Basket Prelude. As reported by Manton Web, the new compilation movie premiered in select theaters in Japan on February 18th. During its first weekend of limited release, the film pulled in over 55 million yen, about $480,000 US dollars, with over 32,000 tickets sold. To celebrate the movie's success, two new illustrations of the series, two male leads, Kyo and Yuki Soma, will be handed out to Japanese theater goers who see the movie from now on. These are the print I guess they're talking about right here. Fruits Basket Prelude is mostly a retelling of the events of the 219 anime series, though it does feature two new stories, a prequel section that details how Katsuya and Kyoko Honda, the parents of protagonist Toru, first met and fell in love, and a new epilogue chapter that provides a look into how Toru and Kyo are doing following the conclusion of the main story. The film was also released on Blu-ray and DVD on the same day that it premiered in Japanese theaters, but theater goers who saw the film during its opening weekend were also given a special bonus booklet that contained a new 16-page manga chapter written and drawn by series original creator Natsuki Takaya. Fruits Basket tells the story of Toru Honda, a recently orphaned but nonetheless cheerful young girl who finds herself living in a tent in the forest after a series of unfortunate events. Toru eventually moves in with Yuki Soma, the most popular boy from her school, who lives with his cousins, Shigure, a laid-back author, and Kyo, a temperamental martial artist. Toru then becomes one of the few people outside of the family to learn about the Soma's bizarre secret. When they are embraced by a member of a different gender or are physically weakened, they transform into one of the animals of the Chinese zodiac folktale. The movie features content from the 2019 anime series, which was produced by TMS Lupin III and was the second animated adaptation of Takaya's beloved and highly influential shoujo manga. Fruits Basket was the first adapted into an anime in 2001 by Studio Dean Konosuba. While well received at the time of its original release, the original anime featured substantial changes from the source material to the point where Takaya stated that she was personally disappointed by that version of the story. The rebooted series presented a much more faithful adaptation of the original manga. Both anime series are now available for streaming on Crunchyroll, Funimation, and Hulu, while the original manga is available in English from Yen Press. An international release for the movie has yet to be announced. All right, so that one went pretty quick. And we'll have one more story to look at here. Let's see where we're at. See if. Hey, Rick! Let me see. Oh, I guess I had already made him. Okay. Hey, Rick. Thank you for the like and share. See if we can get some more people in here, of course. Yeah. Oh, what? Okay, gotta go. Have a great night. Thanks for dropping by, Toys. For regular anime, um, the writers just should make the characters lesbian instead of pretending the character is if the character isn't. Yeah. Oh, I guess you're going back to what we were talking about earlier with Yuri anime and Yuri baiting, Lorenzo. Yeah, I think a lot of people. I think there are people out there, including Lara, there, who would agree with you. Okay. Anyways, we have one more article to go through, and then we'll be done with reading the articles. We will have one more news story that I'll just kind of briefly touch upon. See where are we at on time? Hour 44. Yes. Hey, Cross Comics. All right. What is a deuteragonist? And who are some of the best in anime? Protagonists are the most important characters in any anime, but there's often another character, the deuteragonist, who is nearly as vital. At least the people here that I read. See, the one up front there is Killua Zoldyck from Hunter x Hunter. The one, of course, to the right there that's Vegeta from Dragon Ball. I'm not completely sure who the one on the left is there. I can't really tell by that picture. But anyways, let's look at this article here. Oh wait, let's see. Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Article by Kachif Mackenzie, published 11 hours ago. All right, protagonists are the leading characters in any work of fiction. There is usually one in a story, but it's not unheard of for some tales to have several. Often there's another role nearly as important as that of the protagonist, the deuteragonist, aka the second most important character in a story. Um, they can even be referred to as a secondary main character, depending on how crucial their role is. The deuteragonist is usually a friend or partner of the protagonist and accompanies them on their journey. Not all anime have a deuteragonist, since there are some stories that revolve entirely around the main character. Deuteragonists often play a major role in the protagonist's development and vice versa. Yeah, and I know that from Kalu, as I said, the character in the middle there was Kalu Zoldyck, who ended up becoming Golden Freak's best friend in Hunter x Hunter. Um, let's see. And their individual arcs sometimes directly parallel each other. This makes for compelling dynamics between the characters who make the overall narrative all the more fascinating. And there's Goku and Vegeta right there from Dragon Ball. Vegeta of the famous Dragon Ball franchise is perhaps the most easily identifiable deuteragonist. In anime manga since his introduction in the Saiyan saga of Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta has been Goku's enemy, friend, and something in between at different points throughout the series. The Saiyan Prince is clearly the second most important character in the franchise after Goku. Albeit he probably wishes he was the main character because he's a Saiyan Prince after all. Um, aside from the quote unquote Cell game saga, the duo has otherwise always played the the duo has all otherwise always played the most important roles in each story arc. Yeah, I think the Cell game saga was more about Gohan and his development. No other character gets close to as much focus as they do, especially in Dragon Ball Super. Vegeta is also the only one who keeps up with Goku's rapid growth. The most compelling aspect of their dynamic is arguably the history they share as survivors of an attempt to eliminate their entire race. They have a unique bond that no one but them um, can ever truly understand. Another well-known anime deuteragonist is Hunter x Hunter's Killua Zoldyck, who, of course, I've just talked about quite a bit earlier. Killua is Gon's closest friend, despite the two boys coming from polar opposite backgrounds. Yes, Gon was raised isolated on an island country somewhere, while Killua came from a family of assassins and is expected to be an assassin. Um, However, it's those contrasting histories that make their dynamic so intriguing, which is true. How they have influence on each other. Um, Both boys are 12 years old, yet there's a noticeable difference in their levels of experience and maturity. Yes, you could say that Gon is far more naive than Killua. Gon grew up as a relatively normal child before deciding to leave home on his journey, which is why he's so pure compared to Killua. No kidding. The latter, on the other hand, was raised in a family of famous assassins and is a skilled one himself. Yeah, I mean, if you've ever seen the anime, you know some of the stuff. You know how Kaluuya's body works. Let's see. Yeah. So continuing on here, and there's a picture, of course, of Kahlua and Gon right there. Kahlua on the left, Gon on the right. In the 1999 series, when Ocean Studios dubbed it, Kahlua was voiced by Annika Otagood, and Gon was voiced by Eleanor Holt. And then in the more recent 2011 version that was dubbed in 2016, I believe, out here in LA, I know Erica Mendez was the one who voiced Gon. Trying to remember who voiced Kahlua. It might have been Christina V. Who I'm not completely sure though. I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyways, Gon's innocence is a major influence on Kaluuya's character development throughout their journey in Hunter x Hunter. Though meeting and becoming friends with Gon, Kahlua is able to experience a bit of childhood he never had. Gon makes him want to leave his dark background behind and be a better person. Quote, a strange, or in parentheses here, a strange thing to say about a child. Um, it's for this very reason that Kahlua ends up questioning whether he's worthy enough to stay by Gon's side, which is true. I know, particularly in the first series, towards the end of that series, where they got up the Yorkview arc, um, you started seeing those seeds being planted. Jujutsu Kaisen's Megumi Fushiguro is another deuteragonist, and I haven't seen Jujutsu Kaisen myself yet. So. I know that probably maybe I should have turned off the screen for that, but I was just trying to get rid of a little speck there. Um, Anyways, getting back to the article here. Let's see. Who is quite different from the protagonist, Yuji Itadori. But the two are best friends, regardless. Megumi and Yuji don't always see eye to eye, particularly when their moral compasses don't align. For example, Yuji would rather not kill any humans if he can help it, but Megumi has no issue with taking human lives, especially if it's beneficial to him in some way. So in this case, Megumi is a boy. That's the funny thing sometimes about Japanese names. Sometimes the same name can be used for either boys or girls. Megumi is the latest one I found out. Let's see. I think another one's like Makoto is another one where Makoto can be applied to boy or girl. Whereas in English, we have like we do have slight variation. We have Michael for boys and Michelle for girls, for example. Um, Jonathan and Johanna, or Joseph and Josephina, for example. There are many compelling deuteragonists in anime manga who help shape the trajectory of their respective stories in a variety of ways. Katsuki Bakugo in My Hero Academia and Aguero Agnes Kun in Tower of God are two more. Some series may even have multiple characters who can be considered deuteragonists, such as Mikasa Ackerman and Armin Artlet in Attack on Titan. The impact of these characters have on their stories is undeniable. There's no doubt that the protagonist and the story as a whole would be drastically different if the deuteragonist didn't exist. That's a very interesting article as well. So there we go with that one. So that's the last of the articles we're going to read. Only other news item that we're at an hour, so we're coming up right up on 2 hours here. So good time to start winding down. The last bit of niche news I just want to hit upon before we start to close out here is some wrestling news. So the WWE has apparently hired back Drake Maverick. They kind of over the past few years they've had him, they fired him, and then they brought him back. So apparently he's been rehired. But Drake Maverick, I don't know. I know people probably are not watching as much wrestling right now. They might not even know who I'm even talking about. But still, just another little note there to talk about. So with that, guys, it's probably a good time to start winding down now that we've hit the all the main news. So we're at that point in the show again where it's time to where it's time to look back at this day in niche history. Today being Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022, which of course I know earlier Pops and RJ did have their charity auction streams for the comic book day for kids thing going on. So I am aware of that as well. But anyway, today being February 22nd, 2022, as we say, Deuce is wild. Let's take a look back at this day in niche history. History! So the first thing we're going to look at, we're going to head back to 1952, which is 70 years ago today. On this date, 70 years ago today, the 125th issue of All American Western went on sale on this day from DC Comics, which is at the time known as National Comics Publications. Now, this series started out as All American Comics, and then I think it was somewhere around issue 100 became, or maybe even 90 or so, became All American Western, which had more of a Western theme. Of course, the main character, the main feature here was Johnny Thunder, but not the Johnny Thunder you might think of. Not Earth 2 Johnny Thunder, Earth 1 Johnny Thunder, John Tane, the old West hero on Earth 1. the Mormon Cowboy. Um, so on this date, and this eventually became All American Men of War after this. So on this date in, and I think they started new numbering or something. I don't know. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But on this date in 1952, 70 years ago today, the 125th issue of All American Western went on sale for 10 cents. It was 32 pages. The legendary Julia Schwartz was the editor. Alex Toth did the penciling, and Sly Berry did the inking on the cover. Um, so, so that happened on this date 70 years ago today. Let's see now. All right. So, anyways, going on to the next piece of niche history. Head into some wrestling history here. Okay, so on this day in 1997, which was 25 years ago today, was the first ECWA, the East Coast Wrestling Association, held its first annual Super 8 tournament. Now, the ECWA is an independent promotion that's been around actually since 1967. Okay. Basically, they're the wrestling promotion in the state of Delaware. Jim Kettner founded in 1967. Here in 1997, on this date, 1997 was the first um, Super 8 tournament, which was kind of a light heavyweight cruiserweight type tournament that would feature stars from across the independent scene. Among some of the more well-known names who participated included Christopher Daniels, Brian Danielson, aka Daniel Bryan, um, Billy, as we see here, Billy Kidman, um, Christian, you know, from WWE. So at this tournament, and I guess for this first tournament, ECWA television title was up for grabs as Ace Darling, who, along with Devon Storm, also competed in WCW as Team Extreme. Devon Storm, who also competed in this tournament, would would actually go on to was Crowbar in WCW. So let me just go through the result. So the first match had Billy Kidman defeating Reckless Youth. Billy Kidman, you all might remember from his time in WCW. Ace Darling, as I mentioned, was one half of Team Extreme in WCW. He defeated Inferno Kid. Lance Diamond, who would go on to ECW as Simon Diamond. He would defeat Ravishing Ronnie here. Cheetah Master, who was a legend in Delaware, defeated Devon Storm, aka Crowbar. Then you had Boogie Woogie Brown defeating King Kong Bundy. Many of you would probably remember King Kong Bundy from his different stints in the WWF. King Kong Bundy, even when he wasn't with a major promotion like WWF, would still tour the country on the independent scene. Then you had Cheetah Master defeating Billy Kidman in the semifinals, as well as Ace Darling had Viper defeating Glenn Osborne for the ECWA Heavyweight Championship. And then you had a six-man tag match, which saw Cowboy Blaze, Primo Canera III, and Warhawk defeat Mr. Ooh La La, Animal, and Commando. And Ace Darling winning the ECW television title in in the tournament. So basically, what the Super 8 tournament became was kind of like as I said, like a cruiserweight, junior heavyweight style tournament. Um, and then we have one more to do. That happened in 1997, and just to say, one of the things I like to say when this happened, 1997 was just so nice that we're gonna hit it twice. As also on this date in 1997, Sea Bear and Jamal and Road Rovers were canceled from their respective programming. Sea Bear and Jamal was canceled by Fox Kids. Road Rovers was canceled by Kids WB on this date in 1997. So there we go. So that's all for this day in each history. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Don't forget this Friday, of course, we will be I'm trying to think here. We will, of course, be doing the historical comic retrospect, where we'll be continuing our coverage of October 1938, going through David McKay publications and Fiction House, going over those. Backo, of course, will be with me. And I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow night. So I thank everybody for being here. I thank everybody for all the likes and shares. Hopefully we can get some more people here soon. With that, I will hopefully see everybody tomorrow. Bye.